You know what I'm saying, since we got people that just came in, you know what I'm saying, we're going to go back from the beginning.
Everybody settled in?
You good? We're going to go back from the beginning.
Shalom, everybody that just entered in. Shalom, sister.
Shalom. What's up, moms?
Shalom.
Okay, the first thing that we were to do was define the word gateway, right? Which was an entrance or an opening that can be closed by a gate. Whatever you add onto the beginning and to the end of gateway becomes the entrance to that thing, right? The first example was American gateway. And like the research showed that New York is thought to be the American gateway. It's the opening up to America, so to speak, right? The culture of America. Everything America you can find in New York. Some argue Washington, D.C., but we see that the idol in the center of New York, right?
Absolutely.
The second was Bible gateway. You know what I'm saying? We spoke about how anytime you type any scriptures into Google or whatever, Bible gateway pops up. And there's hundreds of different translations of the Bible on there. There's hundreds of different languages. It opens you up to a whole world of everything Bible. You know what I'm saying? From the 1611 to now. The next one was network gateway. A network gateway is a network that serves as an entrance to other networks, which is Google, prime example, or Ask. You know, the ask.com, yahoo.com, you know what I'm saying? These type of things are network gateways, right? But the topic that we're going to be speaking about today in a little detail is the gateway drug, right? The definition of gateway drug is a habit-forming drug where itself is not thought to be addictive, but may lead to the use of heavier drugs. So we know that the gateway drug is known as marijuana, right? You start off with marijuana, people end up smoking cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, all type of pills, but it usually stems from the use of marijuana, right?
People don't typically start off on a heavy drug like, you know, crack cocaine.
Right.
You know, things of that nature. They typically start off slow, you know what I mean, and lower their ambitions and go to a bigger drug. But again, it starts with that gateway drug, which is typically marijuana.
Exactly. So now, like what we were saying earlier was that you don't plan to get hooked on marijuana. It just happens, right? And once you satisfied with that high, you start to venture out to get different types of highs. You want to get higher and higher and higher, right? Because of that feeling that you get, right?
Well, they say we can't get addicted to marijuana, right?
Right. But you're addicted.
Absolutely. Again, a lot of people don't know that they're addicted until they try to quit that particular drug. And you can be addicted to anything, not just a drug. It doesn't have to have an addictive chemical in it for you to be addicted to it.
That's what we're about to find out today.
Absolutely.
Which is the title of the lesson, huh?
My time, marijuana was plentiful and didn't have all the mixtures in it.
Right.
And as a result of that, blacks really got involved in it in terms of smoking a lot. And what ended up happening is that when we started coming together, they put a panic out on marijuana. So there was no marijuana. And then when you went to get some drugs, you had to go get heroin or cocaine. You know, that became the new thing to replace marijuana to stop. You can buy it nowhere.
Wow. So I thought it on purposely.
So it was purposely.
That system.
It was purposely put on.
So if you want a high at that point, you have to go to
to
a
a higher.
You had to go. And most of the high people who got high, I was one of them. You know, was students. You know,
right.
Because we were learning and we were trying to broaden our mind, and this was the thing to do.
Right.
So not that they was taking drugs, but taking half of our next generation of knowledge.
Let's focus in, y'all. The voices are echoing all the way up to the front. All right. Go ahead.
Come on, y'all. We gotta have some water up in here.
Absolutely.
By them putting the marijuana out there and then taking it away, it was taking our next generation of knowledge away from us too.
Right.
Because here you got students who are really trying to learn, just like young folks now. And as a result of them trying to learn, instead of trying to learn, they tried to get high. You know, it was more than getting high than studying.
It takes away your ambitions.
Right.
It definitely affects you in ways that you don't even know that it affects you. And that's what we're about to get into with this gateway sin. Right? The sin that opens you up to all different types of sin. And it's in the back of our minds, but we never bring it to the forefront. That's why we make ourselves acceptable to these sins. You get what I'm saying? Because it's not right in the front of your mind every day. So, like I said, I'm going to ask 3 times in this lesson, what is the gateway sin? And by the end, I won't answer and say yes or no. But by the end of the lesson, we'll all have the idea, right? So we got the definition of gateway, right? Which is to open you up to something different, an entrance to something, right? So let's get the definition of sin. 1 John 3 and 4.
1 John chapter 3 and verse 4. Whosoever commits sin transgresses also the law.
So it said, if you commit a sin, you're transgressing the law, right? You want to keep going there?
For sin is the transgression of the law.
For sin is the transgression of the law, right? So when we're talking about a gateway sin, we're talking about a sin that opens you up to the transgression of the law, right? Let's go to James 2 and 10.
So that means the law can't be done away with, right?
It's still here. The
Okay.
law is still here and in effect. So I ask, before we get to this, who want to answer my first question of what is the gateway sin?
The gateway sin would be
The sin that leads to all other sins.
Rebellion? That's a good one. Let's get to it. James chapter 2 and verse 10.
Book of James chapter 2 and verse 10. For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one
And
point,
offend what?
and yet offend in one point,
So if you offend in one point that you offend in, you do what?
he is guilty of all.
You're guilty of all. So we're going to figure out what this one point is. That if you commit this sin, you open yourself up to a world of other sins. Right? So we're going to compare the habits of a person that uses the gateway drug to a person that commits the gateway sin. Right? One of the habits, matter of fact, let's go into a different dynamic real quick. The gateway drug is a drug that leads you into a world of different drugs, right? But at the end, what's the end result of that person that abuses those drugs? What's
death.
Death, right? And after the death of the body, where will they be? Sheol, right? So broad is the way in the beginning, but you all gonna lead to this one thing, right? Let's get Matthew 7 and 13.
Book of Matthew, chapter 7 and verse 13. Enter you in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way.
So enter you in at the straight gate. We know that this straight gate, this is righteousness, right? But broad is the way to where this gateway drug is gonna lead you, and to where the gateway sin is gonna lead you. Right? Read.
Broad is the way that leads to destruction.
That leads to what?
That leads to destruction.
So what is this destruction? Let's go to Revelations 20 and 14.
You said 14?
Yeah. It's many ways to get to this place. Many ways to get to this destruction, but at the end of the day, the destruction is all you're going to be at. Right?
The book of Revelation, chapter 20 and verse 14. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death.
Read.
And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
So you see that? No matter what avenues of this broad way you take, if you're going into this broad way, you're going to end up in this one place, that lake of fire, right? Let's get 21 and 8.
Revelations 21 and 8. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
So again, all of these things come once you break this command, once you enter into that gateway sin. But again, you're going to end up in this one place, right? Let's go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 7 and verse 6.
It's at home. Just listen along.
Second Esdras, chapter 7 and verse 6. There is also another thing. A city is built and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things.
Now, we talking about a city, right? And it's a broad field, right? And all good things are in this place, right? But let's check out the difference between that broad way leading you into that one thing and this narrow path that leads you into abundance of things. They reciprocal each other. Go ahead out.
The entrance thereof is narrow.
Is what?
Is narrow.
So broad is the way to destruction, but narrow is the path to all of these good things, right? Read.
And is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water.
So you don't really have too much room to go if there's fire on one side and a deep water on the other. You got to stay on this straight path if you're trying to enter into this abundance of good things, right, that the Most High laid out for you.
And one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go thereat at once.
So is this picture getting in y'all head? Y'all see this small, narrow path? All right, read.
If this city were given unto a man for inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance?
So we got this inheritance. This is our inheritance. This kingdom, this city that he's talking about, this is our inheritance, but we have to pass through this narrow path. The drugs, all of these things are a part of that broad path that's going to lead you to falling on that left side or that right side. Right? Let's get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 and verse 19.
Chapter what?
3 and 19.
3 and 19.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3 and verse 19. For horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation.
So horrible is going to be the end of unrighteousness. Right? So we see how this thing is set up. Broad is the way to destruction. Narrow is the path to get into that kingdom. Right? Now let's start to weigh out what these smokers do and compare it to what the people do that commit this gateway sin. Smokers justify smoking weed. He put it on the earth for us, man. It's an herb, man.
It's natural.
It grow right out of the ground. Right? They justify it.
And it makes its own seed.
Exactly.
How you know that, sir?
But that starts the justification process, right? It says, and when they justify the smoking weed, it feeds to other urges, right? That they can justify. You was late to work and you did something bad at work. Man, I was high, man. You cussed me out last night, man. I was high. I don't remember nothing. Now you're using that to justify what you did, right? Now let's compare it to somebody who commits this gateway sin. They justify it. Mainly Christians, right? We got grace. We don't gotta keep the law. We got grace. But we know what scriptures to count that, right? Let's go, let's get into that. Romans 6:1.
The book of Romans, chapter 6 and verse 1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?
So shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Just because the weed grows out of the earth, that means you're supposed to smoke it? No. There is no justification for this, right? Read.
The Most High forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?
If we claim to be righteous, we claim to love the Most High, how can we still be committing these sins, right? Verse 15.
Verse 15. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law?
So we know that law is talking about the sacrifice, right? It's talking about being put to death after you commit a sin. So because we're not put to death after we commit a sin, are we, you know what I'm saying? Are we supposed to just sin just because? Read.
The Most High forbid.
So no, we're not, right? So there is no justification for smoking marijuana, and there's no justification for breaking or for committing this gateway sin, right? Let's go to Sirach chapter 15 and verse 20.
Big difference between being under the law and abiding by the law.
Exactly.
You know, as Israelites, are we under the law? Absolutely not. We're not under the law. Because what does under the law specifically mean? To be under the law means to be under the penalty of the law.
Exactly.
The penalty of the law. We are no longer under the penalty of the law because our Messiah, Yahushua Mashiach, died for us. But we still abide by the law. That's a concept that, unfortunately, Christianity cannot understand. Those are two different things, being under the law and abiding by the law.
Exactly.
Hey, it's too much talking for real.
We got to tone it down, y'all, back there.
So, again, with the with this gateway sin, comparing it to this gateway drug, the first thing they use to justify what they do is they use the Most High. The Most High created it. Well, the Most High gave us, He gave us the Messiah, so we good. His blood is going to cover our sins. But what do the scriptures say? Read.
Sirach chapter 15 and verse 20. He has commanded no man to do wickedly.
He didn't command no man to do wickedly. Right? Read.
Neither has he given any man license to sin.
So because the Mashiach died for you, and his blood was to cover the sins that you had no knowledge of, don't give you the right to keep doing them and keep committing them. Right? Let's get 2nd Ezra chapter 7 and verse 56.
Second Ezra chapter 7 and verse 56. For while we lived and committed iniquity.
So while we live and commit iniquity, we in the moment. You know what I'm saying? People smoking weed, they in the moment. Right? They don't have no other care in the world. What did Cat Williams say on the stand-up? It's that screw it drug, so to speak, right? I ain't thinking about nothing else. the same thing happens to us when we commit this gateway sin. We don't think about what's most important. You get what I'm saying?
Was that
Read that
rapper?
from the top.
Was it Ludacris had a song? I know this drinking gonna catch up. I know this smoking gonna catch up, but we just really don't give a care
Exactly.
for lack of. I ain't gonna say the real word.
And just don't care.
Right.
Right? And for a split second when you commit this gateway sin, you feel the same way. Whether you let your flesh take over or you let another spirit take over. Read that from the top.
For while we lived and committed iniquity, we considered not that we should begin to suffer for it after death.
So we don't think about what's going to happen after we die. We just living in the moment. Right? You getting that high to pass you by. Because when you commit this gateway sin, it's the same thing as a high. And once you start to settle yourself on committing this gateway sin, you start to chase that high and get deeper and deeper and deeper into sin. Right?
I was studying addictions a few months back, and I was studying basically what it does to your brain when you're on any type of addiction. I forget the exact word, but there's some type of chemical that it stirs up.
THC?
No, not that one. That's specifically marijuana. But
Talking about the dopamine.
yeah, the feel-good hormone.
Dopamine.
Dopamine, absolutely. With any addiction, it will increase the dopamine in your brain. And dopamine is a natural chemical when you're in love. You feel dopamine, if, you know, many other things. But basically, when you have a dopamine overload, it will literally shut down your prefrontal cortex in your brain. It just completely shut it down. And that's the part of your brain that has the ability to think logic. You know what I mean? That sobriety. So when you get high, or when you have that overload of those of that chemical in your brain, it's impossible to think sobering thoughts. It's impossible to be like, okay, I know what I'm doing is bad, but I'm gonna stop eventually. No, it's literally, it's shut down. It's not gonna work. That's why it's always, okay, this is the last time, this is the last time, this is the last time. But it's a never-ending story. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And that's the same thing with this sin. And I'm glad you said that, because it goes right into the next phase of what smokers do when they get high, right? Their judgment is clouded. They can't think straight. They don't see straight. He said literally, yeah.
Right?
But their judgment is clouded, right? So let's get into that. Let's go to Proverbs 29 and 11. Hey, you missed your part, man.
Their Proverbs what?
29 and 11.
What are some more chairs, you think?
You ever notice when a person gets high, they just start talking a lot? And sometimes they don't have no idea what they talking about, but they think they so intelligent. Right? Their judgment is clouded. Right? I seen a stand-up where it was talking about the icons on the refrigerator, and just going into detail about these icons for no reason, but think that you're giving a very intellectual standpoint on these icons. But it's nothing. Your judgment is clouded on how far your intellect is going in this certain subject, right? Let's read that.
Proverbs 29 and 11. A fool utters all his mind, but a wise man keeps it in till afterwards.
So when they high, they just speaking the first thing that come on their mind. Whether it's to hurt somebody, you know what I mean? Whether they shouldn't have said it at all, they just talking, just to talk.
No filter.
Right? Like Mom just said, no filter. Right? Let's go to Ecclesiastes 8 and 5. Again, we comparing this to this gateway sin. You know what I'm saying?
Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 5. Whoso keeps the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerns both time and judgment.
So when you keeping the commandments, right, your discernment is on point. Your judgment is on point. But as soon as you start to commit this gateway sin, you fall off. It starts to go down.
Exactly.
Ecclesiastes
8 and 5.
Once you start breaking these commandments, your judgment, your discernment, it starts to go off. You start to lean in unto your own understanding, right? Let's get Sirach chapter 21 and verse 11. (21 and 11).
Sirach chapter 21 and verse 11. He that keeps the law of Yahuwah gets the understanding thereof, and the perfection of the fear of the Most High is wisdom.
Read that again.
He that keeps the law of Yahuwah gets understanding thereof, and the perfection of the fear of Yahuwah is wisdom.
You know how they say when you get high, it's for higher learning. You know what I'm saying? Higher test scores. It's madness.
I didn't go to high school, went to school high.
Right. It's madness. Your understanding is going to come from keeping the laws of the Most High. Right? Let's get Wisdom of Solomon. I know y'all tired of being in the Apocrypha. 11. Let's get the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1. And we're going to pick it up at verse 2.
The Apocrypha deep, though, bro.
All day long, man.
Wisdom of Shalomo, chapter 1
Start at verse 3.
and verse 3. For froward thoughts separate from the Most High, and his power, when it is tried, reproves the unwise.
So when you committing this gateway sin, you're showing yourself to be unwise. When you smoke marijuana, you're showing yourself to be unwise. And your spirit starts to disconnect from the Most High when you do both of these things, because that high is spiritual, right? You start to separate from the Most High. Read.
For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter.
So when you committing this sin, wisdom is not going to enter into your body, not going to enter into your mind. The Most High will not allow it, right? His spirit is not going. Oh, go ahead, bro.
I was just going to add to what you were saying.
Oh, go
The
ahead.
reason why the Most High won't allow it is because you just rejected the spirit.
Exactly. Because the law is what? Spiritual.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that says that in the New Testament.
Read.
For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin. For the Kadesh spirit of discipline will flee deceit, and remove from thoughts that are without understanding, and will not abide when unrighteousness comes in.
So if you were a righteous being and you start to let this unrighteousness set in, guess what? The Kadesh spirit is like I'm out. Right? Verse 5. That Kadesh spirit is gone once you start to let unrighteousness set in. Right? So let's get into the next one. When people get high or constantly use marijuana, they tend to be around a lot of people that do marijuana, right? You can't really be in the same place with somebody that opposes what you do, because y'all gonna always clash heads.
It's a social drug.
Right? That's the same thing. Hold on, bro. It's the same thing when you committing this gateway sin. You can't bring yourself around those that are keeping the commandments. Right? You don't feel in place. You get what I'm saying? You distance yourself from these people. Right? Go ahead, Sakar.
Yeah, a good example is Herodians. They get high. I did a study on them. They get high, so high they start reading the scriptures. The Rastafarians.
Wait, say that again?
Yeah, the Rastafarians, they believe in smoking a lot of reefer, and they get so high they start reading the Bible.
That's why they off.
Yeah, they all.
Yeah, they definitely go in there with clouded judgments, reading the scriptures. But yeah, so these people, you know what I'm saying, they usually tend to hang with those people that, you know, do what they do. So a sinner is gonna hang with a sinner, right?
What they say, birds of a feather flock together. You know, marijuana, that's the social drug.
Exactly.
As well as the gateway drug.
So let's find this in the scriptures. Let's get Proverbs 29 and 27.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 27. An unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the wicked.
So an unjust man is an abomination to the just. So it's not like you looking down on the sinner, but it's like, man, you know what I'm saying? When you know somebody is straight rebelling against the Most High, you just like, man, I can't even really deal with that dude. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. Let's get Psalms 37 and 12.
Psalms what?
37 and verse 12.
The book of Psalms, chapter 37 and verse 12. The wicked plots against the just.
They do what?
The wicked plots against the just, and gnashes upon him with his teeth.
They plotting against the just, right? You ever seen, I know a lot of y'all on Facebook, right? Do y'all? No? Yeah?
Yeah,
Well, if
What's that? Facebook. Never heard of it.
certain people, we can use my Aqua for an example, right? People always trying to attack my eye, right? Because they feel like they're not doing something that he's doing. You know what I'm saying? It'd be mostly people who, you know, don't believe in the Mashiach, which is totally against the Bible. Somebody that's doing things that oppose the scriptures, and they always attacking my eye. You know what I'm saying? Just to use him as an example, right? Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Shabbat shalom.
I say Shabbat Shalom. Well, why you gotta come at me like that? You know what I'm saying?
How you get so many likes on your posts?
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like it's okay.
What is my
Yeah.
Brother.
Yeah. So the wicked prey on the just. You know what I'm saying? Let's get another one. Let's get Proverbs 28 and 4.
The book of Proverbs. Is it Proverbs? Psalm?
No. I'm sure. Yeah, Proverbs.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 28 and verse 4. They that forsake the law praise the wicked.
So those that's not keeping the commandments, they're going to hang with the people that's not keeping the commandments. They're going to praise these people. They're going to uplift each other because they're doing the same thing, right? Just like those that are keeping the law uplift each other. We exhort each other, right? It's the same thing, just on the opposite side of the coin. Read.
But such as keep the law contend with them.
Let's get one more. Sirach chapter 13 and verse 15.
I think that's the only time it's expedient to be contentious.
Right. Sirach 13 and 15.
The book of Sirach, chapter 13 and verse 15. Every beast loves his life, and every man loves his neighbor.
So every beast loves his life, right? So lions is going to kick it with lions. Tigers going to kick it with tigers. Bears going to kick it with bears, right? Read.
All flesh consorts according to kind.
They consort according to kind, according to what they into, right? Read.
And a man will cleave to his life.
And he going to cleave to his life. So the people that do what he do, they going to cleave together, right? Read.
What fellowship has the wolf with the lamb? So the sinner with the faithful.
So these sinners can't really be around these people that's faithful to the Most High. They feel uncomfortable. They're out of place, right? Same thing with these people who using this gateway drug. They're not around a lot of people who don't do what they do because it's a habit, right? Let's get into the paranoia aspect, right? When you smoke weed, you know, some people tend to be paranoid. They always watching over their shoulder, right? Not knowing where you're going to end up. Same thing with this gateway sin. When you commit this sin and you realize that this is what you've done, now your thoughts flood into your mind. Man, I might not make it to the kingdom, right? You in a constant state of, where am I going to end up? Which way am I going to go, right? Let's get Sirach 14:2. Yes, I was in the Apocrypha a lot for this.
That's all right.
The book of Sirach, chapter 14 and verse 2. Blessed is he whose conscience has not condemned him.
Because a lot of times when we committing this gateway sin, your conscience speak like, hey, what is you doing? And then your conscience start to condemn you. You get convicted. You get that feeling like, man, what am I doing? How am I going to bounce back from this? Right? The scripture says, blessed is he whose conscience have not condemned him. So if you're doing all of the right things, your conscience is going to be rocking with you. Right? Read.
And who was not fallen from his hope in Yahuwah.
So when you start to commit this sin, your hopes start to dwindle away. Because you continuously doing opposite of what the Kadesh spirit has put into you. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, man, I don't think he's going to forgive me for this. So once you get in that mindset, you're like, well, I might as well do something else wicked. I might as well go and do this and go and do that. He ain't going to forgive me anyway. Right? Let's go to Proverbs 13 and 12. Speak about that hope. Let's talk about it.
A lot of times people play that mind game with their conscience when they're constantly questioning themselves. You know, one minute they're trying to justify their actions, the next minute they're trying to say, well, is this wrong or is it right? Is it wrong or is it right? Is this a sin or not? No, it's not a sin. Well, maybe it is. When you're doing that, it probably is. 9 times out of 10.
Because you get into that reprobate mind state.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's a scary place to be.
So let's speak about that hope, right?
Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 12. Hope deferred makes the heart sick.
So when you don't have no hope, your heart is sick. Your whole countenance is off. Your spirit is off when you don't have no hope. Right? And once you commit these sins over and over and over again, you don't have hope that you'll be forgiven. Right? Read that again, Al.
Hope deferred makes the heart sick. But when the desire comes, it is a tree of life.
So what is that desire that is what it's speaking about?
The desire to do right.
The desire to do right, to keep these commandments. It's the tree of life, right? Who was the tree of life?
Who was?
Who was the tree of life? Hamashiach, right? Let's go to Proverbs 18 and 14.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 14. The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit, who can bear?
So with a wounded spirit, when you cutting into your spirit that the Most High set inside of you, right? And you going against his commandments, and you start to get condemned, it's almost unbearable You feel like breaking down crying every day, all the time, right? Because you're committing this sin that's driving you crazy, right? You cannot bear, it's hard to bear knowing that you're going against these commandments. You know what I'm saying? Right? So, after all of that comparing, Deontay, what's the gateway scene?
The gateway scene is gateway scene is define the law.
The who?
Define the law.
Define the law?
Define.
Define law?
Define the law.
Okay. So let's start to peel back the skin a little bit. Let's get out of the prerequisites. Let's
Let me touch on what you said about that paranoid aspect real quick too.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I mean, you don't even really have to get that deep when you look at that. You know, when you're smoking marijuana, you know, you start to get paranoid. Now we know that the scripture says Elohim did, you know, God, the Most High, did not give us the spirit of fear, nor the spirit of timidity, but the spirit of power, sound mind, and love. So, you know, fear and anxiety and paranoia, all those things go hand in hand. So if you're smoking and you start to get paranoid, you're looking behind your shoulder, this, that, and the other, you already know that's not of the Most High.
Right.
You know, but the first thing when somebody questions your actions, you try to say, this is from God, this is from the Most High, this is from Elohim, this is from the earth, it's natural. Okay, why are you so paranoid? Because he didn't give us that spirit.
True. Let's get into it. I'm about to give y'all a hint on what this gateway sin is with this scripture. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 4 and verse 38. Now, everybody should know what the gateway sin is after this scripture. We're going to keep on going though.
Second Ezra chapter 4 and verse 38. Then answered I and said, O Yahuwah that bears rule, even we all are full of impiety.
Which is lack of respect for the Most High and his power. And he was speaking and he said, we all are full of impiety. We all have that in us somewhere. It's how you control it to have you where you're supposed to be. If you can't control that impiety, guess what? It's going to grow and grow and grow. You're going to start making excuses, right? Some people even leave this truth, leave this walk because of their lack of respect for the Most High has grown so high, right? Let's go to Ezekiel 16. Speak about this respect factor of the Most High. We know that without him, we wouldn't be here every single day. Without him, we wouldn't eat. Right? Without him, we would be nothing. He created us to be this great nation, and with our impiety or lack of respect for him, now look where we at. Right?
Ezekiel what? I'm sorry.
Chapter 16. Then start at verse 3. Matter of fact, start at verse 2. I'll break it down then. Okay. I'll break it down.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 2. Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations.
So he said, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations. This is what we started to do. This is where we went wrong with the Most High. Right? Read.
And say, thus saith Yahuwah, the power of Jerusalem. Your birth and your nativity is of the land of Canaan. Your father an Amorite, your mother a Hittite.
Now I know we may have, questions about that, where it say the land, your birth and your nativity is of the land of Canaan. Father was an Amorite, mother was a Hittite, right? Let's get that real quick so we can clear up the confusion. Let's go to Exodus chapter 13.
You sound mad when you talking about
Verse 4. Exactly.
That's why he's saying it like that.
You said Exodus what?
13. And we're going to pick it up at verse 4. Now the scripture said, Thus saith Yahuwah unto Jerusalem, your birth and your nativity is of the land of Canaan, your father an Amorite and your mother the Hittite, right? Let's see what he's talking about. Just so we can clear up the confusion. Go ahead, Al.
The book of Exodus, chapter 13 and verse 4. This day came you out in the month Abib, and it shall be, when Yahuwah shall bring you into the land of the Canaanites.
Now we came from Egypt, right? In the first month, right? He said you was going to be in the land of where?
Into the land of the Canaanites.
Now Ezekiel 16 says, Thus saith Yahuwah unto Jerusalem, your birth and nativity is of the land of Canaan. This is where he wanted us to dwell. Right? Read.
And the Hittites and the Amorites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, which he sware to your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that you shall keep this service in this month.
So he was just basically showing that, let me go back. He was just basically showing that this is where I placed you. This is where your beginning was supposed to be, in the land of Canaan. This is where our covenant was supposed to be made, and y'all was supposed to live forever in this land of milk and honey, right? That's what he was basically saying. He was going back to the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Your land, your birth was in Canaan, right? We had to move all of these people out of there for us to be in there and live in peace, right? Just so anybody won't get confused, you know. Yeah.
Everybody clear on that?
Okay, verse 4.
Verse 4.
Back in Ezekiel 16.
Ezekiel 16 and 4. And as for your nativity, in the day you was born, your navel was not cut out, neither were you washed in water to supple you. You was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. None I pitied you to do any of these unto you, to have compassion upon you. But you was cast out in the open field, to the loathing of your person, in the day that you was born.
So he was saying when, in the beginning of our nation, we were nothing. Everybody looked at us, spit on us. They wouldn't pee on us if we was on fire. Right? He said nobody wanted to do anything for you. Read.
And when I passed by you and saw you polluted in your own blood, I said to you, when you was in your blood, live.
So when the Most High came past us, he was like, man, you know what? Live. Right? We were nothing before the Most High, but he made a great nation out of us. Right? Read.
Yeah, I said unto you, when you was in your blood, live. I have caused you to multiply as the bud of the field, and you have increased and waxed great, and you are come to excellent ornaments. Your breasts are fashioned, your hair is grown, whereas you was naked and bare. Now when I pass by you and look upon you, behold, your time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness. Yeah, I swear to you and enter into a covenant with you, saith Yahuwah, the Most High. And you became mine.
So if you can imagine a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, the Most High basically brought this woman from the ground and built her up himself and said, you're going to be mine, right? He made us that perfect wife that these scriptures be talking about, right? But what did we do to the Most High in return? Exactly. Let's keep going. We're going to see that because in the beginning of this chapter, the Most High says, show them their abominations. Show them what they did to me. Now, if you can imagine the Most High speaking right now, he's in an emotional, mad state right now. Like, I did all of this for you. And this is what you do to me? Go ahead, Al.
Then washed I you with water. Yeah, I thoroughly washed away your blood from you, and I anointed you with oil.
So the scriptures say that when we passed through that sea, he baptized us. Right? So he made us clean, so to speak. Right? Read.
I clothed you also with broidered work, and shod you with badger skin, and I girded you about with fine linen. and I covered you with silk.
So he put the finest apparel upon us. You know what I'm saying? Better than your Gucci, all of that, right? The best of the best he put on Israel. Now imagine, you know what I'm saying? Imagine a woman and the Most High just decking her out. Right? Read.
I decked you also with ornaments. I put bracelets upon your hands and a chain on your neck. I put a jewel on your forehead and earrings in your ears and a beautiful crown upon your head. You was decked with gold and silver, and your raiment was of fine linen and silk and broidered work. You did eat fine flour and honey and oil. You was excellent, exceeding beautiful, and you did prosper into a kingdom.
So, any woman in here, if a man took you from having nothing and put you in all the best, where is your loyalty going to lie? With him, right?
It should.
It should.
At that point,
It should.
yeah, at that point, she getting a lot of attention she never got before.
Exactly. It should lie with him.
Get to the point where you think that's where it was all along.
Right.
Let's get into that.
Begin to take it for granted.
Exactly. Because the Most High is real, right? And these scriptures are real. So the same way that it happens in the world today, guess who laid the foundation? Right? Read.
Verse 14. And your renown went forth among the heathen for your beauty, for it was perfect through my comeliness, which I have put upon you, saith Yahuwah the Most High.
So now, everybody is talking about us. At first, they wouldn't even spit on us. But now, everybody talking, man, who is Israel? Who is them people over there shining like that?
Well, they're fine.
Right? She wasn't nothing in high school. She fine. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
But you did trust in your own beauty.
He did what?
You did trust in your own beauty.
Uh-huh.
And played the harlot because of your renown.
So at first we wasn't getting no love, and now we getting all the love. We like, I do look good. You know what I'm saying? How you doing? You all right?
Gassed up.
You get what I'm saying? But this is what happens in the real world. This is what happens today. You know what I'm saying? A woman start to feel herself. You know what I mean? And start to getting attention that she never had before. And guess what? She trusts in her own beauty instead of who put her there. Right?
I had a coworker that happened to, not to get into her personal business, but she was married to this guy. I didn't know him, but I mean, things that I heard from her. She was married to this gentleman, and I think at one time she got sick, but he took good care of her. She got sick, and she lost a lot of weight, and she was very attractive. So now that she's very attractive, she's getting all this attention from all of her, fellow coworkers and guys and people coming up to the job, things of that nature. She ended up committing adultery with a close friend of mine. You know what I mean? It was just like, wow, this is your husband. You have husband and children. He took care of you, held you down. But now you're getting all this attention from everybody else that you're not accustomed to having.
Exactly.
You did exactly what we're reading right here in Ezekiel chapter 16.
Exactly. Now imagine how that man feels. Or imagine how the Most High feels. Knowing that he set this world up for us. Matter of fact, let's go in the book of Jubilee real quick. Chapter 3.
We're talking back on that.
Chapter 3 and read verse 19. Now this right here is talking about when he set apart the Shabbat, right? This is from the beginning. This is before men touched the earth, right? Well, no, it wasn't. But before any nation of people was on the earth, right? This is what the Most High was going into. Read that out.
The book of Jubilees, chapter 2 and verse 19. And he said to us, see, I shall separate unto myself a people from among all the people, and they shall guard the Shabbat day. And I shall kadesh them unto myself as my people, and shall bless them, as I have made kadesh the Shabbat day, and made it kadesh unto myself. Even so shall I bless them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their power.
Now this was him speaking in the beginning, saying, I separated from myself the Shabbat, and I separated from myself these people. Right? Two things that I hold dearly to me: the Shabbat, my day of rest, and this people. And he was speaking in high regards. They're gonna be my people. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be their Elohim, and you know what I mean? He was speaking in high regards of Israel, and for us to stab him in the back like that, you start to see how we deserve what we're going through right now. You get what I'm saying? So let's go back to that Ezekiel. To know that the Most High set us apart from way back then, man, it's just amazing how I see in these scriptures how we did the Most High, and I see on an everyday basis how we do the Most High. It's heartbreaking. You know what I'm saying?
Ezekiel 16 and 15. But you did trust in your own beauty, and played the harlot because of your renown, and poured out your fornications on everyone that passed by. His it was.
So we a woman, right? And every man that passed by, we like, you want some? You want some? You want some? Right? Because we trusted in our own beauty. You get what I'm saying? Because we looked at ourselves as being gorgeous now. These same dudes that we were looking to like, man, can you take care of me? They're like, what? Get out my face. Now they coming to you and you like, well, I'm going to take it for what it is. Instead of hiding yourself and saying, no, you didn't want me back then. I'm with the Most High now. All right? We start giving ourselves away to everybody that passed by. All these different gods that pass by. All right? Now we're going to get into the meat of the situation. Let's keep going.
And of your garments you did take, and decked your high places with various colors, and played the harlot thereon. The light thing shall not come, neither shall it be so. You have also taken your fair jewels of my gold and of my silver, which I have given you, and made to yourself images of men. And made yourself images of men, and did commit whoredom with them.
So now he's talking about these different guys now, right? Because what happened when we came out of Egypt? What was the first thing that people did? Golden calf. You get what I'm saying? He done brought us from all of this bondage, and y'all couldn't wait 40 days. Right? Read.
And took your broidered garments and covered them, and you have set my oil and my incense before them.
So now all of the stuff that he gave us, we start to give to these other guys. You know what I'm saying? All of our talent that we supposed to be using for him, our songs, our dance, we giving it and worshiping these other guys. Right? Same thing we doing right now. Right? Go ahead.
My meat also, which I gave you, fine flour and oil and honey, wherewith I fed you, you have even set it before them for a sweet savor.
So now we giving sweet savor unto these other people when we supposed to be reverencing the Most High. But when y'all get home, y'all finish reading through that and see, you know, what's going on. But that's basically how the Most High is feeling about us. Like, y'all, I gave you everything, and now you're giving everything that I gave to you to somebody else. It's like you buy your wife a car and she give it to homeboy down the street. He riding it, and you. You know what I'm saying? You like, whoa, that hurt. Right? Say that again, huh? Homeboy gonna be hurt too. And best believe when that vengeance rain down.
Right.
Oh man. So let's run through a couple scriptures. We're gonna quickly go through a couple of these scriptures and show you what the gateway said. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Banks, what's the gateway saying?
Lack of respect for the Most High. You know, we just don't got that respect for him. We should. And like you were saying, Wisdom of Solomon, in that chapter 2, 1 through 7, you know, that got a lot to do, you know what I'm saying, with that answer. You know, as far as with the ornaments, with the wine, committing these, you know, these different spiritual warfare that we're going through.
Okay? That answer. Well, Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Read.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12.